At BT Murrayfield, you just said a couple of minutes ago, the pitch looks great. Is it still a pitch? You know you're retiring, but is it still a pitch that you particularly you took a great deal from in terms of running out for Scotland?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can hear the noise of the crowd. In my head now as I think about it. I think my favourite moment was, I think it's 2006 as we came out against England. They switched off all the floodlights, and there's a lone piper with one light in him, and he was blasting out Highland Cathedral. And as I speak about it now, the hair on the back of my neck standing up, and those kind of memories, they'll stick with me a long time. But we've had some great victories on the pitch, some not so good ones as well. But all the same, lots of memories.
I think some players rely on the recordings of the games because they don't actually remember what happened during the games. Are you someone that can recall moments in your Scotland career?
Yeah, I can remember them, and I think it's probably best I don't look back at them. I think it's one of those cases you try and remember, in your head how good you were, as opposed to looking back and seeing the reality of it.
Possibly even more important than the games in a way is I remember talking to you on tour in, I think it was Australia, and talking about the whole aspect of touring and being with a squad for a period of time. Is that something that you look back on with great fondness, that just the ability to interact with the other players?
Yeah, that was the best part of rugby for me, the touring side of things, and visiting different countries, getting business class flights. I don't think I have many of them again. Spending time with the guys, and that's something that's so hard to replicate. And yeah, my fondest memories are of that, and that tour in particular, 2012, Fiji, Samoa and Australia, just absolutely phenomenal. We won all three games, the scenery, the people in all the countries. It was that was a great tour, and touring is such a big part of rugby.
In terms of it strikes me that Mike Blair would be someone as a player and as a style of player who would relish playing in the current Scotland setup with the way that they seem to be allowed to play the game. What do you think of the way that Scotland are playing, and how do you think you would have fitted into that? Because it looks tailor-made for a scrum half like you.
Yeah. I watch the games. There's a large group of really talented young players coming through. I've had my time. I played with a lot of great players as well. But the way the Scotland team playing the way the team are playing now, the pace and the ambition they're trying to play with, yeah, of course it's something you want to be part of. But I enjoy watching that now.
How much do you think you'll miss it?
I don't know. I think when I retired from the Scotland stuff in 2013, I probably thought I'd miss it more than I did. I was able to escape from that and quite enjoyed watching the games. But I think, speaking to friends who stopped, I think it's probably going to take 6 months, a year before you kind of realise that you're out of it a bit. But you try and find other motivations. I certainly won't be running marathons or anything like that. But you find other challenges, and my next challenge now is coaching and trying to improve those players so that I get a lot of enjoyment watching them out on the pitch.
How much do you enjoy that role? Because I think you're always someone that's been quite analytical or insightful about the game. Is that something that you feel will help you when you come into the coaching?
Yeah, I love watching rugby. I love analysing players and plays and seeing what's going on, trying to take a step back and seeing how teams are trying to play. So, I get a lot of joy from doing that. As I mentioned before about working with the scrum-halves at Glasgow, I've really enjoyed doing that, and although I probably don't have a huge amount of impact on their performances so far, I like to tell myself that, and they're three guys playing fantastic rugby, so that makes me pleased with what I'm doing as well.
Can you pick one game where you maybe got a sense of, I suppose you would have felt this in a lot of games, but one game in particular where the emotions of playing for Scotland, the tension of playing for Scotland was heightened for you?
Yeah, Scotland-England in 2008. We'd had a bit of a struggle in the championship It was the first game I was captain actually here, there was a lot of pressure in being captain there in a Scotland team that hadn't been too successful. And I remember when we won the game, I actually watched the last 4 minutes from inside the changing room on the TV because I couldn't watch out here, and it was a strange feeling at the end of the game. Rather than having that incredible joy of winning the game, like I burst into tears. It was the relief that we'd kind of got that, not a monkey off the back, but just getting the win that takes the pressure off a little bit more, and that's what it was about playing for Scotland. A lot of it was, you're representing your country, and you want to do your country proud, and sometimes results don't go for you, but when they do, you've got to try and enjoy it as well. So,
one final question. You'll have time to reflect on this probably and work out the answer in the fullness of time. But Greg Laidlaw and yourself, what is it about scrum halves when it comes to Scotland? Is it because you're magnificent generals on the field, or is it because you're narky guys?
You tell me. You know me now. You know me quite well now, Jim. I don't know. I think scrum halves it's a fantastic position to play because you can influence the game. You have more instances in a game than any other player, which is a great thing, and it's not such a good thing if you're not playing so well. But I don't know. I think Greg's leading the team exceptionally well. We have been fortunate with scrum halves over the last 20, 30 years. I don't know what it is. The Welsh seem to have it with the standoffs, and I guess we're fortunate in Scotland with our scrum halves. But I'll leave you to answer the question. But
that's a good point. Just to finish, so that is a good point. That when you look at that, the legacy that maybe you have in particular is that you stand with those other scrum halves, and you're thinking about, you go back to Alan Lawson, you go to Roy Laidlaw, you go to Andy Nichol, and Greg himself. It's a hell of a peer group.
Yeah, it is, and it's nice to be, mentioned in the same sort of breath as them. But I had some good players around me, and I've loved my time representing Scotland. All the teams I've represented has been a massive honour, and it's sad to be finished with kind of the realisation hitting me now as I'm talking about it. But I've had a good stint.